Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, I'm just getting my screens set up here. Okay, so it's back to school time around most of the country. And I thought that I would talk a little bit about some back to school tips, which are also, of course, applicable even if you're not going back to school. Back to school is like there's a lot of stuff that comes in. There's a transition period. And the thing about clutter and habits is that they are really triggered by transition. So when we think about times in our life where tended to grow, it really is connected to some transition that we went through. When we think about our habits and whether we were establishing habits or our habits were falling apart, it has a lot to do with transition. Transition is a big trigger in our lives. It's both a time where things go south and also an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to try something new. And I would encourage you, if you are going through a transition, if you are in some sort of transitional period in life, whether it's back to school or something else, the quicker that you can work on the reestablishment of habits, or the quicker that you can pivot and get to creating this new way of being after the transition, the better. Now, that's not to say if your transition is a heavy transition, if it involves grief, um, if it's a heavy transition, we definitely need time for grieving. We need time to process emotions. But I would also argue that establishing habits can be a great way to create a solid foundation that you can rely on for processing those emotions and for processing that grief. Um, and I guess when we're talking about grief, there is some grieving that happens with back to school time for a lot of different reasons. So, whether or not you have kids going back to school, I feel like this is all pretty applicable. The thing with habits, household habits, and routines and systems, we're all looking for the perfect system. Perfect doesn't exist, it's not a real thing. Perfection is maybe something that we see on social media that's just a fabrication or an exaggeration. We need to look at what works for us right now, what is relevant to our life right now, and what is going to work habit wise or system wise in our lives right now. It's not going to be perfect forever, it's going to be just right for just now. Yes, Trish, I know. um, yes, lots of transitions. So we want to go for just right for just now. And, we can look at laundry, for example, as a system. Your laundry system is going to be different if you have little kids, if you have middle school age kids, if you have young adults, if you have adult children living with you, your laundry system is going to be different. So when you're thinking about what is the right or best system to implement right now, just think what makes sense for right now, just right for just now. Um, I tend to think if we are working on establishing habits and working around our homes on setting up systems, when you're in the process of establishing those habits or systems, we want to do them more frequently. So, if the habit or the system is around laundry, we want to get into the habit of doing laundry more frequently than maybe even we need to for the purpose of establishing the habit. Once we have the habit, we can kind of systematize it. So, once you're in the habit of doing laundry and putting it away frequently, and that's just what you don't maybe need to do it every single day because you're in the habit of doing it. So if you miss a day or if you go to every 2 or 3 days, it's not a big deal because you have that habit established. So habits should definitely be a part of building out systems. And in the beginning, when you're trying to establish something new, a new habit, do it more frequently. If your your new habit that you want to establish is, say, going to the gym, go to the gym in the beginning when you're establishing the habit as frequently as you possibly can, because then you're in the habit of going to the gym. And then you can put a system and structure around it once you have the habit of going to the gym. Do habits more frequently in the beginning, and that will lead to much more lasting success. I'm going to just go into the chat here and say hello. Oh, it is a beautiful day in upstate New York too, Emily. I'm so glad you're having a beautiful day in Philadelphia. Good morning, Carrie, Linda, Emily, Teresa, good morning. Lou Ann, good morning. Mary, Bridget, Denise, Karen, Ann, Trish. It's been a while since you've been here, but you're here now. Denise, yes, do habits more frequently. Habits can be the first thing to establish, and then you can create structure around them and systematize them to what makes sense for you right now. I feel a sneeze coming on. Okay, so that was my first thought for transitioning back to school, or any transition that you're going through. How quickly can we reestablish habits as we're going through this transition or after the transition is over? Because that's going to create a stable foundation for processing emotions and dealing with life moving forward. Good morning, Susan. Evening resets. Evening resets are so important to your morning. And this, I'm talking about it now because it's back to school, but I would also make the argument that it's almost more important when you don't have structure in your day to have structure in your day. So we definitely, when we have a structure that we have to follow, we have to be out the door at 6:30 a.m., whatever it is, we need to have a solid evening thing. It's almost like it's non-negotiable. Now, if you don't have a structure in your day, if you're retired, if you're home, if you don't have a structure in your day, it's even more important to build in some keystone habits, some keystone structures at different points throughout your day. So if you're listening here and you are retired, if you have no structure that is the same every single day, that's a signal to create that structure, because it's going to give you a much easier time figuring out what to do next. So evening habits and evening routines can really support morning routines. It's hard to have a good morning routine without a good evening routine. If you're not getting a good night's sleep and you don't have to get up early tomorrow morning, or you have no real time you have to wake up, your morning routine is going to go out the window. So morning routines rely on evening routines. And some really great things that I love to do in the evening that you might love to also. Number one, say it with me, dishes. Get your dishes to 0 every single night, because that way when you wake up, your kitchen space is ready to go. Get your laundry put away every single time you have a basket of clean laundry, because when you wake up, your wardrobe is ready to go. Clear your bathroom countertops every single night, because when you wake up, the first thing that you're going to see when you get out of bed is a bathroom countertop, and it'll feel so much better if it is not cluttered. Yes, need to start evening routines earlier before I'm too tired. That's a really, really important point. Having some real solid time around all of this, instead of waiting until, you feel like it, starting things earlier is always, always more helpful. I think if you can have structure in your evening and your morning, you're going to feel so much more accomplished, and things are going to go so much more smoothly. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the day, but have an anchor to your evening that's going to allow you to have an anchor to your morning. So morning routines rely on solid evening routines. And the only person who can do this for you is you. So I know that when I had younger kids, I spent a lot of time feeling resentful because my time wasn't my time, and things would come up and other people would, their schedules, their priorities, whatever they needed would get in the way of what I wanted to do. But you know what? I had the ability to control that. I had the ability to say, I know there might be an interruption, so I'm going to start this earlier every single night, not just tonight. I had the ability to make that change. I just had to own it. And when you own the ability to make change in your life, when you own, you can set up an evening routine that works for you. And it might just be starting it 2 hours earlier than you think you need to make sure that you get through it, even if there's interruptions. You have the ability to set up a morning routine. You just have to do it. You have to own it. You have to make it happen. And you can. And that is the most beautiful thing when you embrace the fact that you can make these changes. You 100% can. All right. Those were my thoughts for Ask a Clutter Boss today. We did not have any questions come in this week. So I think everyone's kind of end of summer / back to schooling right now. I totally get it. I'm there too. But if you have questions for a future episode, please drop them in the comments, get them over to me, submit them on the form. And we will look forward to seeing everyone next week, same time, same place, where we are answering questions again. Good morning, Mitzi, CB, and Kristen. Nice to see you guys. All right. Remember, if you're in a transition, fight to establish those new habits. When you are establishing new habits or routines, do the habit more frequently than you are ultimately going to need to, just to establish the habit. Morning routines rely on evening routines, and take action for yourself. You have more control than you have the most control over your own life. Own it, run with it, and do everything you can to make it perfect for you. I'll see you next week, everyone. Bye for now.